So recently I've decided I want to make videos about something, but I only decided what that something was a few days ago, when I decided to make videos about women who did really cool things in history that I've never heard of before. Because for some reason sometimes people think that, women didn't get the right to vote until recently, and they were repressed for so long that no woman ever did anything cool until recently. So I want to learn more about women from history, and woman number one is Elizabeth Blackwell. She was born February 3rd, 1821, and died May 31st, 1910. She was born in Bristol, England, to a father who was a sugar refiner. He was liberal for the time. He didn't beat his children, good parenting, and he also wanted to give them all the opportunities that they could have to really hone their talents, both his male and female children. And so she had a really enriching and nurturing childhood, which is good. Then they moved to America, and unfortunately her father died soon after that. So she spent the next couple years working in order to make enough money for her family. And meanwhile, she had a friend who got really sick with what we now know as cancer. And the friend was really suffering and told Elizabeth, I think my treatment would go better, I would feel better if my doctor was a woman. And then Elizabeth pondered that and thought, women are really nurturing. They've got this compassionate nature that would be really good for a doctor. It seems really complimentary. And at the time, a female physician was just code for person who performs abortions. And she just thought that a female physician could be so much more than that. So this idea really, stayed with her, and she formed the resolve to become a female doctor, even though it was really hard. So she sent all these letters out. She kept getting rejected for one of two reasons. Either one, women are intellectually inferior, obviously, so we can't let you in. Or two, maybe you are as good as we are, but if you are, why would we increase our competition by letting you in? Very altruistic, these medical school boards. So they would reject her for that reason. She actually got in eventually on accident when a board asked its male students, we won't let this woman in unless all of you approve unanimously. So raise your hands. And they thought it was a joke, so they're like, oh yeah, sure. And then it turns out that they let her into the school. And when she was there, all the records say she kind of had this magic presence. It was this chaotic, uninformative place, and then strolls through the doors, and learning happens. People are focused, they're attentive, and the medical school is vastly improved by her presence. Also, there's this story that they tried to kick her out when teaching reproduction, because obviously reproduction is too vulgar for women who never have to experience anything like that. So despite that irony, they were going to kick her out, and she gave this passionate explanation for why she should stay, and they changed their minds. So she just kept changing perspectives while she was there, to the point where the dean of the medical school actually bowed when he presented her with her degree. She then left, and with her sister, who was actually the third woman in the United States to get a medical degree, and her friend, they form a school/hospital where they educate women about their bodies. They have women in executive positions on the board as doctors, totally running this hospital, and they're also trying to, promote women to do what they did and to become doctors themselves. Unfortunately, the Civil War happens. Elizabeth and her sister Emily get into a feud, so Elizabeth goes to England. In England, she just does the same thing. She educates people, she gets involved in social reform, she is trying to get people to be doctors, and she's running a hospital. So, continuing a life of a badass until she died. As any historical figure, she has her flaws. She thought that the reason she was a good doctor is because she was a woman, and women are nurturing. But that's kind of a restrictive way to think about it. Like, oh, if you're a woman, you're only a good doctor because of your maternal instinct. And the second thing is that she was a very moral Christian, but at the time that meant that she didn't agree with germ theory or vaccines. She thought they weren't effective, they're not a thing, we shouldn't use them. She thought that moral impurities cause disease, and that is where we must strike. So very ironic that the first female doctor didn't believe in germs. Final parting anecdote, she never married, and there's a story that a suitor was trying to, propose to her, and she says, "I'm not ready to become whole. In fact, you can only add 1/6 to me rather than 1/2, which is not enough." So on that note, Elizabeth Blackwell, reformer, educator, entrepreneur, female doctor, someone you should know about.